since we are talking about the World Counterfeiting Day, in commemoration of which a number of activities have been put together by the organization working on it. What is the World Anti-Counterfeiting Day about? Let's hear from John Unsorom, who is a senior counsel at Jackson, Etia and Edu. He joins us here in the studio. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Some people will be hearing about this for the first time, even though the institution is about, well, some 20, 30 something, almost 30 something years old?
It's correct, 30 years old.
Okay.
We're celebrating it this year.
Okay, so tell us about it.
So essentially, I come from a firm of about 100 and something lawyers. So essentially, we have diverse practices, but for the purposes of the World Anti-Counterfeiting Day, right? So our team of anti-counterfeiting lawyers have put up a series of events. Okay. Because essentially the World Anti-Counterfeiting Day, it was designed to create awareness for the public regarding counterfeiting, piracy, stuff like that, right? It was created by a body in 1999, but essentially today is to put the spotlight on the effects of counterfeiting and then how the consumers can carefully avoid these things and carefully maybe put it to rest, right? It's a work in progress, but it's something that we see would happen in coming years.
Okay. So just to be clear, counterfeiting, there are a number of people, in Nigeria who believe that for a very long time our country was so bedeviled with the issues of counterfeiting that it became a kind of an identity. What are the issues around this counterfeiting? How has it affected Nigeria as far as you can tell? And what do you think can be done? What's giving room to it, and what do you think can be done to reverse it?
Yeah, it's a lot of points in place, right? So first of all, counterfeiting, it's sort of the unauthorized representation or reproduction of a product belonging to someone else. So essentially, these products are being ascribed brand names. So you hear of Apple, you hear of Channels, you hear of Microsoft, right? So these brands or these trademarks are used to represent these products, right? So essentially, people come, use that name, reproduce a different or the same or similar product, and then sell it in the market. So usually they don't meet the standards. They don't meet the standards of what. They don't meet the standards of what the product that is produced by the original owner. So this causes a lot of things. First of all, there's the health challenges that it results in. I have personal experiences of using cosmetic products and then it gives reaction. And several Nigerians have these experiences, right? Aside the health challenge, it erodes revenue for businesses. So we see a lot of businesses lacking confidence in the Nigerian market. Most times this thing is tied to this counterfeit. So when you have a proportion of genuine products, a large proportion of counterfeit to genuine products, you see that the revenue that comes to the company is drastically reduced.
Okay, so shouldn't that raise questions about regulation? There is the FCCPC, there is also the Standards Organization of Nigeria,
yes.
There is the customs. There are those who are supposed to gatekeep. That is speaking for those. The Standards Organization of Nigeria and Immigration, they are supposed to gatekeep to ensure those things don't come into the country. And then there is the FCCPC that's supposed to ensure that we don't find these counterfeits that you're talking about, particularly the injurious, illicit ones, in shops or with access to people. Do you see the government or governmental gateways significant? So
I would say that it's not totally significant. So I've worked with, my firm has worked with several of these regulatory agencies. So but I'll take them one after the other because if you check the news, you see that a lot of them have been proactive, really, right? But then we still have some who are still trying to pick up. But one is the Nigerian customs. So I can say for a fact that there have been seizures and seizures and seizures of products, right? There's been seizures of illicit goods, there'll be seizures of counterfeits. These products are handed over to the different agencies in charge. I can also say for NAFDAC.
What agencies, apologies? What
so, for example, the regulatory agency for food, drugs is NAFDAC. So once this is caught at the border, right, they're handed over to NAFDAC for destruction, right, and prosecution, right. And things like drugs, depending on the type of drugs too, are handed over to the NDLEA for destruction and prosecution. Also, things like some other products are handed over to the Standard of the Institute of Nigeria to verify that this does not meet our standard and should be destroyed. For NAFDAC now, we have reports of cases where NAFDAC has continually gone into the market to actually seize products and actually destroy them. I know that a large-scale destruction was done November last year. In fact, there are reports of over billions of products that have been seized by NAFDAC. So I can say that, yeah, they are doing something. But for us, we think that it doesn't deter these businesses.
So perhaps that's where the issue is.
Yes.
The deterrence. Is
yes.
it strong enough? Is it punitive enough?
So we think that several other things actually cause these things, right? For example, when you have a law like the Merchandise Marks Act that says once you forge or you're using a false description of someone's brand, which is essentially the same thing as the counterfeit, right? And then the penalty for this person is barely 6 months, 100 naira, right? Depending on the court. You see, people are confident. They don't have the fear not to do it. So our idea is make it less productive for them to do the counterfeit and bringing it into the country, right? We also have situations where some of these bodies, they don't go into the market, right? They don't do maybe market sweep, market surveys as regular as possible.
It's sounding a lot like, you know, the deterrence is not strong enough, and then maybe, as you said, you've hinted now, the monitoring and all of those things, there are gaps that need to be filled.
Correct.
Let's quickly check with Maokwe, my colleague in Abuja. I'm pretty sure she has a question or two for you as well. Maokwe, go ahead.
Well, it appears... Thank you, Ayo. It appears that the issue of counterfeiting is now, you know, before we used to just look at it in terms of product, in terms of, well, I say, tangibles, things that you could hold and, you know, feel. But it appears that they have now entered the realm of the intangible, especially with the introduction of AI, etc. So even in our own industry right now, someone can make an image of me, sitting right here on this set, making me say things I never said. What are some of the strategies that you will, I mean, given our fight so far against I don't know whether first and foremost, with the example I cited falls under what it is that you will count as counterfeit. But what are some of the strategies that we have explored so far that you think we haven't explored enough to strengthen our war on this issue of counterfeiting and making the fake of many things?
So essentially, since you mentioned the AI things, right? So our laws on AI are not as stringent as we hope them to be, right? So if you have stuff like deep fakes, like persons who are, how do I put it, falsely representing another, right? So we ordinarily should have strict laws that put these things to bed, right? So first and foremost is the regulatory aspect. The second is the monitoring of these online channels. So I would key it into products here. So for example, when you have online sources marketing products that we don't know where these products are sourced from, right? You leave it to the consumer to say, is it original, is it fake? And they don't know because it's online. It's until they purchase it that they see these things. So we need the regulatory's watchful eyes on these online places where we purchase these things, right? So we have situations where, on behalf of clients, we do the monitoring for them, and then we cite these things, and then we go after them court-wise, right? So if the regulators extend that their eyes on it, yes, there's the market that they are to visit. Yes, there are seizures to be made, but AI online persons are they now prefer to buy these things there. So they should actually look into it and then scrutinize it. I've said this before. The point is to make it less productive for the counterfeiters. Once you make it less productive, you choke them, and they do not see the profits in doing this, and then it leads to the deterrence that I'm talking about.
Well, I guess.
Back to you, Ayo.
All right, thank you, Makwe. Maybe one last question for you now would be, and you want to speak to this very quickly. What role can the people, Nigerian citizens, play in this whole ecosystem?
Yeah, so they do have a role to play, right? First is to be watchful, right? So essentially, we know that brand owners actually put out ways to identify the genuine from the fake, right? So many persons, they prefer it because they are attracted by the low prices. And NAFDAC has warned that if the price is unusually low, do not go for it, right? But persons, because of that, they still go for it. Another way that they have to be careful is to the source of purchasing these things, right? Someone goes into the market and sees these roadside sellers selling phones. They're not packaged. They're just the phones there. And he picks it up because, yeah, they're cheaper, but then it's easier to get it. And he says, well, I bought a phone, stuff like this. So and then reporting system as well. Most of these regulatory organizations have set up reporting system. I know FCCPC, for one, the reporting system works quite well. I know the NAFDAC, it works quite well, right? Once they key into these little strategies, right, you see that it reduces how it affects the populace, and then we get to deal with
Well,
this.
perhaps another time, if we ever have to have this conversation again, we'll be speaking to those who go ahead and produce these counterfeits, because they must definitely invest something.
So I should say this. I know as of 2 years ago, there was a period where a lot of people were discovering that what the household products they had were actually counterfeits, right? Someone got maybe I remember a ketchup, right? And then there were like 3 versions of the ketchup, right? Someone got alcoholic beverages. He saw 3 brothers, he saw 3 cousins, he saw 3 sisters, a lot of things, right? So we see a situation where people are waking up. We see a situation where people would reject these things, but it's slow. So, but we want it to go at a geometric pace.
Well, maybe one of the things people should also be looking out for is the spelling of the names. The word morning and morning, they sound the same, almost spelled the same, but you know, that's the way it is. Thank you so much for your time this morning. John Sorom is a senior counsel at Jackson, Eti, and Edu. We appreciate your time and your thoughts this morning.
Thank you very much.